5 super awesome cars in movies available on Now TV. Obviously, there's the Batmobile, one of the most famous movie cars, and there have been as many of them as there have been Batmans. Originally, the Batmobile was just like a really big 50s car with a really little flame in its tailpipe. In fact, all the Bat vehicles just kind of did what they were supposed to, like be a helicopter, or be a motorbike, or be a speedboat, which is probably all Adam West needed to chase down these kooky criminals. They all have the Bat logo on them though, so maybe it was more about the power of branding. When Michael Keaton got his hands on it, it still burped fire, but it was way slicker. Probably because he had to chase down Jack Nicholson and crushed on Kim Basinger. So he needed better gadgets, like this armadillo shield thing and this rope that helped turn tight corners because it didn't have power steering. Plus the optional dog whistle response.
Stop.
By the time Christian Bale took over, he had Liam Neeson to contend with.
Don't be afraid, Bruce.
So he needed a jam packet full of features. He stuffed a 4x4, automatic weapons, and a tank in it. Plus, a frog in his throat.
I'm Batman.
He did it all with the help of Morgan Freeman, because having an old inventor dude at your beck and call is kind of how you get the best gadgets. We learned that from Sean Connery in Goldfinger, and pretty much all the other Bonds. Because without Q, Bond's Aston Martin would just... well, it would still be an Aston Martin, but it wouldn't have the machine guns, or the tire slashers, or the oil shooters, or the ejector seat. All of which you know Bond's gonna need to take down Goldfinger with his Rolls-Royce Phantom and his plans to break into Fort Knox, which is like the world's biggest bank. And most poorly defended, with its flimsy gates and metal doors.
Do you expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
I expected a Goldfinger, but what we get is a Golden Gun, which is actually the title of another Bond movie with another Bond. But the same Q, who, by the time we get to The Spy Who Loved Me, is so good with gadgets that he can take a Lotus Esprit and make it double as a submarine. You know, so Bond can conquer land and sea. As opposed to time and space. For that, you need a DeLorean, a car that can travel back in time, into the future, and get hit by lightning. And yet it always has trouble starting, which is maybe why the manufacturer went bankrupt. Which is too bad, because it was kind of useful. Like it let Michael J. Fox go back to the 50s to invent skateboarding and rock and roll. And it lets this evil guy Biff become a zillionaire by going back and giving his younger self an almanac, which is this thing they had before the internet. The DeLorean can also fly.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Actually, where they're going is 2015, which better look like this. This movie made a lot of promises, and the inventor of the hoverboard and flying cars is seriously running out of time. And so are the Blues Brothers.
Get it.
They have a limited amount of time to get their band back together and save an orphanage. The Bluesmobile isn't necessarily the first thing you turn to get something done fast, but it's okay because this movie's packed full of performances that fill in the gaps while Belushi and Aykroyd go from A to B. It's also full of car chase scenes, which makes you think that the Dodge Monaco was really nimble, because it jumps bridges and destroys malls and outruns Nazis, cops, and a pretty angry Carrie Fisher. But considering that it was only a cop car in Chicago in the 70s for like 4 years, it probably wasn't. Speaking of cop cars, here's Steve McQueen as Bullet, a super serious detective in a killer Ford Mustang. You can tell he's serious because he's moody and mean and only eats TV dinners. This movie is kind of like that movie French Connection, except it's in the 60s, so it has bad jazz and paisley jammies. It's also full of groundbreaking camera work, which was never seen before in Hollywood. There's the walk and talk, the wobbly camera, and the can't quite see because something's in the way shot. But the most iconic thing is the car chase, and not just because it goes on for like 10 minutes, but also because it's full of skidding, squealing, suspension-crushing, high-speed McQueen action, which all the action movies forever after have copied. Which just goes to prove that even with all the light-flashing, time-traveling, gun-toting, fire-burping gadgets, the ultimate car accessory is still Steve McQueen behind the wheel. You can catch all of these sweet rides in our iconic car collection available on Now TV.